VisionOS came out 3 weeks ago, and I want to help you learn before the Vision Pro comes out early next year in 2024. Whether you're brand new and don't know where to start, or a developer looking to explore, you've reached the right place. This is your home for VisionOS Spatial Sundays. Today, let's explore shader graphs in Reality Composer Pro and the Apple Simulator. So let's learn together and let's get spatial. To get started, let's go over the simulator. As a developer, you want to always read through the documentation. You can check it in the description below. You can see here, overview: to test your app, build and run it on a simulated or real device. Use simulated devices to debug your app on a variety of hardware to which you don't have immediate access. Immediate access, we don't have Vision Pros. The only way for you right now to test your Vision Pro apps or to create for it and see how it looks is using the simulator. Go ahead and read through the rest of this. Keep on scrolling down, talks about how to connect. And here, let's do interacting with your app on VisionOS Simulator. Here it shows you how to interact using the Vision Pro and the simulator. Under interact with your app, you can see tap, what double tap does, and all these different things. So let's go ahead and open up the simulator. I'm going to do Command Space, and I will type simulator. Now, I'm going to show you here, this is not the beta. There should be a little beta thing here. I have both Xcode and Xcode beta installed. I'll open up this so you can see this issue. And you can see it opens up an iPhone 14 Pro Max. I don't need that. But I want to come here and you can see I don't see VisionOS. That's because this is not the right version. This is 14.3.1. If you have two versions of Xcode installed, you have to make sure you open up the simulator beta. So if you look to my left, this is the regular Xcode, this is the Xcode beta, and this is my simulator beta. So you want to definitely make sure you open up that. If you don't have two versions of Xcode and you only followed my video to install the Xcode beta, you should be fine. Now you can see if I come up here to File, Open Simulator, I have iOS 17 with all of these options, but also VisionOS. You can also open the simulator directly from Xcode Beta. So if I open up Xcode Beta, I can select Xcode, Developer Tools. I can come right here to Simulator and it will also open for me that way. So this is the simulator and how it will look in the Vision Pro. You can see there, interactive UI. Obviously it doesn't do it justice with mousing over this because your eyes will be doing this and you will use your fingers to kind of touch. So first let's go over the interface. Up at the top you see we have our file and we kind of went over that. You can make a new simulator, GPU selection, we have our edit, we have our device, we can restart it. We can erase all the content from it. You can see input and output. What do you want to connect it to? Also features, Face ID, authorize Apple Pay. So it really tries to simulate a real device. Debugging, window, and help. Let's just look at simulator help as well. You can see here, I'm going to click on show topics and how to use the simulator. All of these topics are here. Shows you how to interact with the devices. Simulate, drag, and iOS. So definitely you want to use your resources as a beginner or even as a developer. You know you always use your docs. So definitely come to simulator help and this will help you with everything. All right, so let's look at the window now. We got here, if you mouse over it and leave it, accessibility, it'll show you what it is. So this is our home. This is if I wanted to save the screen, capture the pointer, capture the keyboard, simulated scenes, and then this is to reset the camera. Down here, we got select to interact with the scene. We got click to drag. We got click to drag and pan. We got click to drag and rotate or orbit. And then we can zoom in and dolly. And you can do all of those. If I'm scrolling with my mouse, you can see it's kind of going up and down right now. If I hold the scroll button, I can pan up, down, and around. And if I do my right button, you can see it kind of lets me move in a 360 and just orbit around. So the first real thing you want to do is just kind of see if you can move around this area. So I'm just gonna come on over here, and then I can move, and I can move around. So just move around the area and see it. And that you're using just your mouse button. So you can see I can move all around this thing. So the first thing I want you to do is just get used to the simulator by moving around. What you didn't notice is this little button right here is really, you click it, and then this will recenter you. It also has your value. You can see here, if I mouse over it, the environment I can change. That's very similar to up here. It's the same icon. And you also have control center and your notifications. So this is what you will see in the Vision Pro. Let's click on home. And you can see that makes it face back to me. Also over here, if you look, here's apps, here's people, here's environments, and you can select all of these. And you can play with these options as well. Going to the control center, here's some other things. Do I want do not disturb? How big do I want my text? My Wi-Fi, if I'm connected or not. So again, this is exactly how the Vision Pro is going to be. You definitely want to play around with all these different little buttons and features so you can kind of get used to it. And also, it saves you from spending $3,500, so you can kind of see what all the hype is about. All right, so let's come back up here and let's change our environment. You can see right now we're in the kitchen. We can do kitchen night. And again, you can see outside, it looks like it's the nighttime. Let's look at some of the others. Living room during the day. And this just is a simple small room. You can see it's really bright outside. We change it to living room night. And then we got museum. Awesome. So again, for the museum, let's see if you can move around. All right, so that's the simulator. Now you kind of have a full overview of how to kind of utilize that. And definitely read through all of this, how to navigate the space we just did, how to switch between simulated scenes we just did. That was pretty easy, so now let's get to developing. Let's work with ShaderGraphMaterial inside of Reality Composer Pro. So remember, this is our docs. Everything that you need is kind of on this page. If I scroll on down, and I'm gonna come right here, learn about VisionOS. Definitely go through this page, but right now we're focusing on Reality Composer Pro. So if we scroll on down right here, meet Reality Composer Pro. This is the one we want to look at, explore materials in Reality Composer Pro. And this video is pretty short, 19 minutes, you can watch it, but it kind of skips around. So someone asked me, can I go step by step to kind of do the entire thing in one? So that's what we're going to do for our ShaderGraphMaterial. So we're going to need the same assets from this video. To do that, I'm just going to come right here to resources, and this is the actual diorama. I'm going to download it. Now that it finished downloading, I can come to my assets folder. I'm going to right click, open with Xcode beta. Remember, I have two. And now with it open, we can actually look and explore different parts of the app. If we wanted to test it in the simulator that we just learned about, all we have to do is simply click play. It'll build. And if the build is successful, after it checks all your code, it will launch the diorama in the simulator. So you can see here is the simulator. And I will click on this little OK to stop the simulator from jumping on my launch bar. Here's that app, the completed sample code provided to you by Apple. So this is our start. Show diorama, we need to turn this toggle on. We can morph it, we can scale it. I'm going to click on show diorama. And you can see it's a little weird because it's like right in the middle of it. Probably need to move this up some. And we'll show you how to do that in future videos, or you can explore on your own. Click on Mercedes, River, Cedar Rock. I can scale it down. I can also morph it. So I can morph it into Catalina, to Yosemite, and these have, so I can turn it off to kind of stop the simulation. So we need some images to kind of create the morph effect, and that's what we're going to do to show you about ShaderGraphMaterials. To get the materials that we need from this package, it's going to be in our Reality Kit content. So I can drop this down, click on Package, and I can actually open up all of these in Reality Composer Pro. You can see right here, I can click on Open in Reality Composer Pro. I'm going to click OK. But you can see all of the assets that they kind of have. If I wanted to find them, I can right click on this and click on Show in Finder. And you can see it opens up this Reality Kit content.rk assets. So I can open it up in Reality Composer Pro and then right click and show it this way, or back over in Xcode, I could have just clicked on Reality Kit, Show in Finder, just to show you that, and drop this folder down, sources, Reality Kit content, and then here's that RK asset folder. These are all the assets that are here. Border.usdz, all of those assets, and we just need to grab the ones that we want. So again, here's the anatomy of the Reality Composer Pro package. You have your Reality Kit content, source, Reality Kit, and everything, all of your assets will be packaged here inside of your .rk assets folder. When I organize my stuff, when I create additional folders like materials or scenes, that means if I'm going to use those assets inside of Xcode, I need to have those direct paths. And we'll talk about that later when we get into coding in Xcode in future weeks. So let's copy the assets that we need so we can create our own from scratch and mess around with ShaderGraph and Reality Composer Pro. So I'm going to open up the assets folder. This was the original. This was week 1. Let's make a new folder, and I'm going to call it Diorama ShaderGraph. And the things that we're going to need is Catalina data. We're also going to need the flat terrain. We need the diorama base. And we need the Yosemite data. I'm just going to right click copy or Control C, come down here and paste these 4 items. So now I have everything I need to create our own Reality Composer Pro project and mess around with ShaderGraphMaterial. Now let's create a new Xcode project, and I'm going to do File, New, Project, and make sure you do VisionOS. I'm going to press Next. We're going to call this Diorama ShaderGraphMaterials. I'm going to go ahead and press Next. Let's save in that same location. I'm going to make a folder, call it Learning Projects, so we'll have everything in the future. And I'm going to press Create. Here we have our new Diorama ShaderGraphMaterials. We want to get to Reality Composer Pro, so I'm going to drop down Reality Kit, click on Package, and click on Open in Reality Composer Pro. In the tutorial from WWDC, they walk you through how to build a custom morph material. This is a great tutorial for you to, once you go through this, go back and watch it and see if you can hang with the WWDC version. So let's talk about materials. So in the video, it also mentions ShaderGraphMaterial uses Material X for XROS. So that's what we're going to be utilizing, and it'll show you how easy it is using Reality Composer Pro to create your own. One other thing from the tutorial is ShaderGraphMaterials have PBR, which is physically based rendering, and custom. We're going to work with a custom base one so you can see that, and obviously you can play around with physically based later on. All right, so here we are in Reality Composer Pro, and I like to stay organized, so I'm going to make 1, 2, 3, 4 folders. First one I will call 3D Assets. Next one I will call Materials. The next one I will call Sounds. And the other one I will call Scenes. So these are the 4 folders that I like to create and stay organized. You don't have to do that, but also remember, if I do Show in Finder, when I create these folders, if I move content around, it has a new structure. So for example, this plane is on these guys, but if I move this into Materials, see this little message right here? It doesn't know where this is anymore. So these guys, there's an issue because I actually changed the structure, and you can see the file structure here. It's not longer at the top, it's actually inside of Materials. So to fix that, I can simply click on plus. I would come to materials, select this material, and then delete that one. And then that little message goes away. So if you're going to be using folders like I am to stay organized, make sure if you have materials and you move them around later on that you don't have any warning signs. Let's just start with our scene. So I'm going to open up this scene. You can see the same thing happened here. If I click on this material, it doesn't know where this is because it's no longer at the top level. So I need to click on plus. I need to go to materials. That's the plane material. And I can get rid of that guy. And then now also make sure you save all. All right, so let's actually move some stuff around, and I can move scenes into scenes. And this is also a scene, and then now I have this. All right, I want to import the things that we need, so I'm going to open up 3D assets. And here are the things we wanted to pull in. We can simply drag it like this, or I can click right here and select all these and import. All right, so now that we have everything imported, let's go ahead, and we don't really need this sphere or this plane material. So I'm just gonna select both of these, hold shift to select both. And if you right click, you can do deactivate. I could delete them, but I wanted to show you if you have something in your scene that you don't want to delete, you can deactivate it and it will be hidden. So let's drag in our diorama base and our flat terrain. Now I'm going to double click on the diorama base so we can see. I'm going to make a custom material. So let's just talk about materials. On the right side over here, if you click on plus, you're already given a bunch of materials that you could use. Black ABA plastic, black silicone. So let's download these. A couple of them. Honey mustard merino wool. And metallic gold. Great. So they give you a couple of these, and let's say I wanted to drag these in. I'm dragging in that one, dragging honey mustard, and I'll drag over, let's drag over smooth concrete that we've used before, and this metallic gold. You can see they're not organized. They get always added to the top level, but for me, I like to stay organized, so I'm going to drag all these into my materials folder. Now that I'm organized, I can actually see how Apple created these using the shader graph. By clicking on shader graph for metallic gold, this is how it actually was created. Here's the roughness, metallic, normals. You're always going to have material preview, surface, and output. Let's create our own custom shader graph material. So I'm going to go ahead and delete these. I don't need these guys. And here in our hierarchy, I'm going to click on plus. I'm going to move materials, and I'm going to do custom material. I'm going to call the material Diorama Morph material. Okay, so here we have our shader graph material, and we're going to drag this over because this is going to get pretty long pretty fast. We're going to be here concerned with our diffuse color and our normal. And then also you can see this custom geometry modifier. We're going to do that as well. So I'm going to move this up, and I'm going to drag from here out, and it'll automatically, I'll select that. Now here's an issue I saw. Sometimes it will rearrange itself. So let's do file save all, and that should fix it. It's just a bug that we've kind of had. All right, so I'm gonna move this again back over here, and hopefully I won't have that little rearrange issue. So this is going to be our output, and this is going to modify using these guys here. If you look at our Catalina data, we have some images. We have the background color by BC. We have the normal denoted by N, and then we have some others, but we need our height map. We're going to be using these three things. So let's go back to our shader graph, and first let's do our color. So I want to do drag out from diffuse color, and again this is an image, so I'm going to select that, and I want to name this guy. This is going to be Catalina color, and with Catalina color selected, I'm going to choose up here in the inspector, click on all files, and I want this one right here, Catalina _ background color. Now nothing's happening. The reason is we didn't set our flat terrain to our material. So I'm going to select flat terrain. Over here on the right side, I'm going to select our, and now you can see there is our Catalina color. Now you can see it moved it over again. So that we'll just have to deal with that. All right, so we got our color on our diorama. Let's set up our normal. So I'm going to pull from this and just drag it out. And from the normals, I actually want to remap the normal. So I'm going to type remap. And you can see here, linearly remapped incoming values from one range to another. I'll drag that out. And again, if I click on this, you can make sure you change the settings here. We'll do more of this, creating custom shaders in the upcoming weeks so you can get more comfortable with it. And I'll drag this out. And again, all of these you should search through. 2D procedural, 2D texture. You can read through these, and we'll go through some more of these later on. But I'm going to select image, and this is going to be my Catalina normal. And again, I will select that. And up here, I'm going to click on all files and select Catalina _n for normal. Now you can see there's a little bit of change here. Looks a little bit more, some more depth, but it doesn't actually have a height yet. So for a height, what we're going to do is we're going to use our geometry modifier here. So I'm going to pull from the model position offset. And what I want to do is I want to do a combine 3. Combine the channels from the streams into 3 channels of a single output. Why am I doing combine 3? Combine 3 is my X, my Y, and my Z. Height maps, we want to do a Y. So you can see here is the X little string that I could pull out. Here is the Y, which I do want to do a image. And down here is the little Z. So that's why what a combine Z does. I want to do a height map, so I'm using the Y, which is the middle one. I'm going to change my name to Catalina height map. And I'm going to select that and make sure you're looking up here. Choose, click on all files. We're going to do Catalina _H for height map. And when I select that, now we have a nice geometric modified shader using those 3 images. All right, so let's go back. And what if we wanted to morph like in the tutorial? Well, all we got to do is mix these values and have a constant float that will determine if it's Catalina or Yosemite. So let's do that now. So to start, I'm going to make some space. I'm going to pull these. Again, I told you this was going to be long. Pull these over here because I'm going to start to disconnect some stuff. So I want to do a mix of the Catalina color and the Yosemite color. So I'm just going to double click. In order to create a new node, I've been dragging out, but you can also double click and then that gets you there. Or right up here on the right side, you can see new node. It does the same thing. So I'm going to type in a mix. Mixes foreground and background inputs weighing based on mixed values. I'm going to select that. And I'm going to disconnect from there and connect it to there because I want to mix my foreground and my background. And you can see what's happening to my diorama. So I'm going to connect this, the Catalina color, and my foreground I'm going to pull out. And again, this is going to be an image. And this is going to be Yosemite color. And for Yosemite color, let's choose all files. And you can see Yosemite _background color for BC. I'm going to select that. Now you can see what's happening. I kind of have the normal of Catalina and the height map of Catalina, but I have the background color of that. So I got to add some more mixed stuff. I'm going to pull my remap over here. I'm going to double click, do another mix. And this mix, let's call this mix colors. Let's call this mix normals. And I'm going to need one more, but I'll do that later. So I'm going to drag this and connect it here. See what happens. And I'm going to drag my foreground and back connect it there. And let's try to reorganize this a little bit. Maybe I'll do that. And I'll do my background. And I'm just going to type an image. And now this is going to be my Yosemite normals. Then I need to come into the inspector and select all files and Yosemite _in for normals. So now you can see the normals are matching up a little bit. We've got one more thing that we got to do. So I'm going to pull my combine over here. I need one more mix. So I type mix and select it. And this is going to be my mixed height map. And I'm going to disconnect from there, connect it there. And you can see what's happening up here. Let's go ahead and connect my foreground to Catalina. And let's connect one more image. Let's rename it Yosemite height map. Let's see if I can get this organized a little bit better. Let's move this guy out here so you can see everything. There we go. And for Yosemite, I'm going to choose this, and this should be the final thing. This is my height map, Yosemite _H for height map. Oops, got an issue. It doesn't look right. I got it in mix. This shouldn't be in mix, this should be in background. Now, there you go. We're gonna use that mix property in a second. So there is our Yosemite. Now, what happened to Catalina? How can we control that? The mixed colors, mixed normals, and mixed height map are all controlled by this mix value. This is going to be a constant value that controls whether Catalina is shown or Yosemite. So we want a constant. I'm going to double click and I'm going to do float. And I'm just going to call this progress. The last part of this is we need to connect to our mix. I'm going to connect it to that mix normals, and I'm going to connect this to our mix height map. Now, if I click on progress, right now it's 0. You can see 0 means Yosemite. Let's try 0.5. This is what I'm talking about in progress. So you can see there's kind of a mix between Catalina and Yosemite. And if I even go lower, 0.25. So again, you can start to see that little island on top of that. What happens if I go to 0.75? So it's more of the island now, but you can still kind of see Yosemite in the background. And all the way at 1, it's nothing but Catalina Island, right? So this is how you're able to mix two different things. In the progress, you can use a slider so you can kind of do what I just did here. Last thing we want to do so we can use this inside of Xcode with SwiftUI, we actually want to promote this value. So I'm going to right click, promote to Diorama material, and you can see it turns blue. And now this value can be used with a slider or buttons or whatever SwiftUI you want to kind of go between these two things. And that's going to be a challenge for you at the end. Here's kind of an image I put together to make sure you understand. Yosemite colors looks like that. Catalina color looks like that. Foreground and the background goes into here. Our constant, which is just a float, I called it progress, but I left it constant here so you can know that it's just a value. That's going to determine which one of these two are shown. Looking at our normals, the same thing. Our foreground is our Catalina normals. That's what that picture looks like. This is what the Yosemite pictures looks like. For the height maps at the bottom, this again is what the Yosemite height map looks like. This is what the Catalina height map looks like. This one constant value, which is just a float between 0 to 1, determines how much of these two or these two or these two. And that's how the shader is actually going to work. This video is pretty long, so we're going to wrap it up here, but I do got some challenges for you. Back here in Explore Materials in this, if you click on Material Editing, this is where I want you to start. See these lines? I want you to add to your shader graph to see if you can get both of these lines. This tutorial will not show you how to do it with this, but you should be able to figure out how to add these lines and also add to your shader graph. I also want you to look over the ShaderGraphMaterial at this location. You can find it in the description. Material implementations. As a developer, you definitely want to dive into the docs. For my developers, you can go ahead and try the extra step of coding SwiftUI to add a slider and slide between that and Xcode. You might want to follow this tutorial, working with Reality Composer Pro content in Xcode. Finally, I want you to use your own images to create your own custom shader for another area. you're going to need 3 images. Remember, you're going to need a color, you're going to need a normal, and you're going to need a height map. You could use Google Earth to just zoom in and try to get an area. Command-Shift-4 and maybe drag this area. And then here is a tool that you can use to get a height map. And I can also zoom in to different areas and move around. And how height maps work is the lighter the color, the taller it is. So again, you would have to get to that same location and then grab a screenshot of it. And then here's one other tool that you can use. Awesome Bump is a free program for you to be able to generate normal, height, ambient occlusion, and all type of maps from a single image. So you could grab that image from Google Earth, use Awesome Bump, get your 3 images, and then try to recreate this for a different area. All right, so that's it. So go be creative. I hope you had a great Spatial Sunday. See you next week. AR is going to change the world. Everyone can learn, so let's create a diverse group of immersioneers. Learn more about VisionOS or Lightship by subscribing, liking, and sharing today.